In this video, I'm discussing, is autism and ADHD the same thing? I'm covering all that right now, so don't go anywhere. Guys, welcome back to the AspieWorld. My name is Dan, and I have autism and ADHD, and I make weekly videos all about this stuff. So if you're new around here and you want to learn more, hit that subscribe button down below by clicking the notification bell. Guys, we are talking today about autism and ADHD, and are they the same thing? And the profound difference between the two, but also the unlikely closeness they both have. Really interesting. Let's get into it. Guys, back when I started this channel, I was already diagnosed with autism and ADHD. And for me, I thought everybody had autism and ADHD together. But what I didn't know is this causes confusion within the community and in the greater community of society when they're trying to learn about autism and ADHD retrospectively and interconnectively. That's a lot of kind of complex words, and I'll break it down really easy right now. So, autism and ADHD are both neurological developmental conditions. Now, this means that they were formed because of the brain's neurological paths were forming in a different way when that person was being created. Thus being that I know a person who's diagnosed just ADHD, and I know a person who's diagnosed just autistic. Now, ADHD is a attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Doesn't always encounter hyperactivity in the, hey, I'm going to run around, jump off the walls, and drink sugary candy all day. That's not kind of what ADHD is. They used to have a separate term called ADD, which was attention deficit disorder, and then they came out with ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, but now they're just fused them together. So it's just ADHD, because a person can actually be hyperactive within their mind and their mental state rather than in their physical appearance and their physical body. I actually have both of those. I'm very hyperactive. I talk very fast. So apologies if you're watching this video. I'm trying my best to kind of slow everything down in my videos so that you guys get all the information you possibly could want. And I also have the hyperactivity of my brain. My brain goes 1,000 miles an hour. I'm doing a video on that very, very soon. It's quite an interesting video. But before we get into the second part and why autism and ADHD are related, I just wanted to say that if you are having mental health issues and you're on the autism spectrum or have ADHD, there's an awesome app I've used called BetterHelp Therapy. Now, it's an online app where you can log in on your browser or on your phone. And basically what you do is you pay for therapy through the app, and you can have one-on-one therapy with somebody over the phone, over voice call, over text messaging. The cool thing about it is that you can do it from the comfort of your own home. And this is the most awesome part. You actually tell the person what your conditions are, like ADHD or OCD or autism or anxiety. And they'll find and link you to a therapist specialized in that field within one day, which is like, wow, that's just awesome. I used it personally. I think it's amazing. So the link is in the description down below. Check it out. And yeah, it's an affiliate link. So, I do get some benefit from it, but I do actually honestly use it. I never promote anything that I think is rubbish. Anyway, let's go back to the video. So ADHD and autism, they are closely linked. Now, let's think about, we talk about ADHD in general. So when someone has ADHD, they will be switching from task to task. They will have an irritability, like they can't sit still that time. They may have restless leg syndrome or restless hand syndrome, and they'll want to get up, and they have a hard time focusing on one single task at a time. That is typically ADHD, right? But you can have ADHD where you don't have hyperactivity attached to it, like I said before, so you may have difficulty with focusing because your mind is jumping from thought to thought to thought to thought, right? And if this is you, drop me a comment down below. I want to know, do you have ADHD and do you have autism, or do you have both? Drop me a comment, let me know which condition is you in the comments down below. Now, with autism, the most interesting thing is autism have hyperfixation or hyperfocus on specific items of participation. So you could be like building Lego, right? And you could be building Lego for hours and hours on end with autism. Now, there's a battle and a conflict. If you have autism and ADHD, your ADHD brain will want to kind of do random scatty things, but your autism brain is like, we have to look at like a tractor beam and do this one thing, which is very difficult for the autistic person. So they're pulled this way and that way. However, they do kind of work in harmony sometimes, where you'll want to switch from topic to topic, but actually be really focused on each topic you switch to, which means that you can do multiple things at once, which are pretty amazing. And I actually have a video coming out where I'm talking about just those things. So don't forget to subscribe and give this video a like if you find this interesting. Now, this is where the interesting part comes in. A person can be diagnosed with autism and ADHD combined. Actually, most people on the autism spectrum will have a combined or a comorbid diagnosis of autism and ADHD together, but some people can just have an autism spectrum condition. Now, I actually believe that people who are diagnosed just with autism haven't had the ADHD diagnosis yet, and they probably will do, because I think that these things work in harmony together and they come as a package. That's just my personal belief. I'm not a doctor or a practitioner in healthcare, but I am a person with autism and ADHD, and I see how it is, and I think that these things are apparent. Now, autism and ADHD are both spectrum conditions, basically. So there's an autism spectrum, like you can go all the way down here to kind of like ADD or ADHD, and then you go all the way to the other end where you have like savant syndrome and very high support needs autistic individuals with profound learning disability. But all of it is a big broad spectrum of neurological differences, or neurodevelopmental conditions on differences on a spectrum. That's kind of why they call it an autism spectrum. So the simple answer is no. Autism and ADHD are not the same, but autism and ADHD are both on the spectrum and can be diagnosed together. Now, I actually said have both of those diagnoses together, which is really interesting. And most of my friends who I know are diagnosed autism have a comorbid diagnosis of ADHD. Now, a lot of them don't always have the hyperactivity. Now, this is something really interesting as well. Autism can come with a hyperactivity because the brain is going 1,000 miles an hour. An autistic brain is so overcapacitated, it's trying to digest many amounts of data, having communication disorder issues, because that's what autism is in its core. And then it's trying to put out all of that energy to keep going. Kind of like why people with autism and ADHD, or people with ADHD, or people with just autism, will have an addiction or a kind of an affinity for, a likeness for sugary foods, junk foods, fatty foods, energy drinks, that kind of stuff, because their mind is going 1,000 miles an hour. They need the energy to be kept up. And so you'll see a really bad diet for people on the autism spectrum, which cannot be helped with things like smoothies and other kind of supplements to kind of keep those dopamine cravings at bay. And this is a lead into this next part where I'm going to talk about the dopamine hit. Now, ADHD is a dopamine-hungry condition, which means that dopamine is a kind of like a chemical that gets released into the brain when something nice happens. This could be enjoying food, playing games, watching a movie, listening to music, having intercourse, all those things stimulate dopamine, which is kind of how people get addicted to stuff. I'm going to tell you, people with autism and ADHD can get very addicted to things. And because of that, the dopamine kind of chasing in you is constantly trying to chase dopamine-rich experiences. Autism also has dopamine-rich experience chasing, which means that an autistic person will get mass amounts of dopamine release when they're surrounding themselves with their favorite subject of interest. And subject of interest is something that happens. So you have obsessive interest in autism and ADHD, which is why I think they're comorbid. They coexist. They're together as one. And that means that you'll be obsessed with something. Like a friend of mine was obsessed with Marilyn Monroe, like obsessed with everything she ever did. And we went to her house in America and kind of like looked at all the stuff. Kind of unusual, but that's it. I have certain obsessions. I will go through them now. And if you're interested in hearing me talk about my own obsessions, pop it in a comment down below and we'll go over it. That is a dopamine chasing experience. Now, there's nothing wrong with that unless it's for something kind of like negative, like narcotics or alcohol, or even sex and pornographic imagery. Those things can be highly addictive because they get instant dopamine hits. But don't be tricked. Those things are short-lived dopamine and are not satisfactory dopamine. They're actually destructive to your brain. So you want to replace any kind of negative dopamine addictive behavior with good healthy addictions like gardening, exercising, cooking, Lego, something that is creatively exploratory, because the dopamine hit you get from creativity is higher and longer lasting than you would do from short kind of drug fixes like, sex and alcohol and drugs and things like that. So dopamine is the main cause that really links autism and ADHD together, because they're working together to find this dopamine. They're like a dopamine hungry monster. That kind of makes sense. Now, not all the time that you're going to want to sufficiently kind of like collect dopamine, because an autistic person can really fill up on dopamine, and then you'll have it kind of like reserved. You'll have reserves of dopamine. Like for me, I really love learning about marketing and learning about social media and all that kind of stuff. And if you're interested, guys, I actually have a free PDF download book all about hacking autism daily life. So if you go to autismtips.net, the link is in the description, you can get my free Autism Life Hacks PDF book right now. And if you say, I love Star Trek, or I love marketing, right? And I watch marketing videos. Now, I do marketing courses. Now, I do a little video every night that I watch for about 40 minutes. And that keeps my dopamine at max efficiency, which means that like I'm enjoying all that stuff, and it keeps that enjoyment for a long time. Whereas if you went out and kind of like got drunk to feel a dopamine hit, the day after you'd be feeling so bad about it because you'd be like hungover and your body be dehydrated and all that kind of stuff. You'll kind of want to chase it again. But if you steadily release big hits of dopamine from your obsessive interests, all the things you really enjoy, it was a game changer for you, and it's all about game changing. And here in the AspieWorld, here my business, my brand, everything I do is about changing your life for the better, and really increasing that capacity to unleash your potential and make you the best version of yourself. So I want to know, is this video helpful? Please share it on social media and check out the video next to me right now, because I think this is going to really benefit you too. So please check out the video, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.